The Arctic Monkeys are an English rock band from Sheffield. They were formed, and that's in England, obviously in Yorkshire. They were formed in 2002 and are still going strong. They've had a stable membership, I think just one member change over the years. And they've released 7 albums so far at the point that I'm recording this introduction. They've sold an amazing number of albums. And in fact, their first album, Whatever People Say I Am, That's What I'm Not, was the fastest selling debut album in the UK history. It sold over 360,000 albums in its first week, which broke the previous record holder by over 3,000, sorry, over 300,000 albums, which means it sold about 6 times as many as the previous record holder. Hi, my name is Dan, and this is my mini album review of the album Humbug by the Arctic Monkeys, which was released in 2009. It's their third album, and it's my first time listening to it. And this is not going to be an easy review because they slide away from easy descriptions and pigeonholing, or at least to my thinking, they do. I do also want to just mention that you might be aware, and you probably don't care, the fact that although there's at the moment these videos are coming out one a day, I actually record them in batches, so I'm recording a batch of about 8 of these reviews on a nice Saturday morning, and I have so far had this is my second one from a band from Sheffield, and I've just done one from a band from Hull, all of which in Yorkshire. Go Yorkshire! That's my home county in the UK. I'm very impressed with Yorkshire. Well done. Right, back to this album. So this is rock, and I guess indie rock. Certainly, Acclaimed Music have got it down as indie rock. We're in the era here of uh, Coldplay and Manic Street Preachers and Kaiser Chiefs and Elbow and Kings of Leon, and so I have this tendency to bundle groups of acts, particularly bands, I think, together in my head. And I bundled the Arctic Monkeys together with them. Listening to this, I think that yeah, I can hear kind of some of those elements from this time, but I think they also bridge a gap between that and the previous kind of bubble of bands, which is Britpop. So particularly, I would say Oasis in attitude, though musically not quite the same. The kind of the attitude and it's the laconic swagger of it, but there's more musical variety here, and the musical variety at times gives me shades of Blur even, but also neo-psych, which was kind of around that sort of time as well. And see what I mean? It's confusing me. I don't really know how to pigeonhole them. Do I need to? No. Do I need to describe it? Yes, that's my job, and I'm trying to, but I'm finding it hard. They're inventive and varied, and at least 40% weird, I would say. They're tighter and more focused feel than, for example, Coldplay, who have this more expansive stadium sound. But there's this kind of slightly dishevelled and disorganized feel to it, which isn't in a bad way. It kind of works. The drumming I want to kind of pull out, especially the snare drum's got a kind of what I'm going to call a machine gun sound. It's a very kind of punchy snare sound that they use really well at times. And the singing is interesting singing. So some of it is quite low and I'm going to use the word laconic again, but sometimes high and more intense. Okay. So apparently this is a darker album than their previous two. I'm not familiar hugely with Arctic Monkeys. I know that they're around or have been around. And there are more of their albums to come on this list, and I'm looking forward to that. So apparently that darkness is somewhat down to Josh Homme, who was involved in the production of this album. The songs are about okay, so this is one of those albums where I felt the need to go and look up. In fact, by look up, I mean typing into an AI, what were the songs on Humbug by Arctic Monkeys about? And even for an AI, it was vague. So it's fairly weird stuff. There's metaphorical pictures here that are open to interpretation, like Jeweller's Hounds and The Secret Door. There's quite a bit of guesswork out there in the digging that I've done in concerning the meanings. So The fact that I couldn't really pick up what it was about, I don't feel so bad about it now. Did I enjoy it? Now this is the always the crunch question. Well, yes, but there's reservations there, and I'm trying to work out why. There's another reason I'm finding this more difficult to review than some albums. I respect the obvious creativity and the somewhat strangeness in here. Stylistically, I think I could have been more engaged. I felt like just the sounds weren't, and the textures, and just it wasn't quite doing it for me. And I think that I kind of this is a theme for me with indie stuff, particularly kind of when we get to the late 90s and into the 2000s. And this wasn't, I don't think, full of this kind of washy guitar that I sometimes complain about. But again, it wasn't really kind of, yeah, somehow. And excuse me, like I said, not an easy review. I liked it enough to give it a 7.3, but not enough to give it more than that. And that wasn't because of the lack of creativity. It's to do with the sound. So after that fumbling around of my opinion, I'd love to know what your opinion of this album is. Please let me know by leaving me a comment. But that's it from me for now.
Fiendish wonder in the carnival's wake. Dull caresses once again irritate. Tread softly, strange